France. Poems: Les Poutrelles, The Ward, La Roche Tremblante, Ratman, Land, and Lascaux Cave. Les Poutrelles. In my now repeated pattern of outrageous acts, I was expelled from the University of Pacific in Stockton, California, for riding a horse through the girls' dormitory. The dean was not amused. I humbly asked, "Where shall I go?" He enthusiastically responded, "To France. I see you took a semester of French. See your French teacher," whom I greatly respected for her brave history of fighting in the French resistance to German occupation in World War II. She laughed at my thoughtless risk. Hers were real, and suggested Caen, France, her hometown, where I got a job in a brick factory, went to l'Université de Caen, played rugby, broke my leg, and ended up in l'Hôpital de Caen. All the consequences of a horse ride that could have resulted in jail, or worse, someone getting hurt. Lady Luck, a lifetime companion, was riding with me. Bless her. Les Poutrelles. We made building blocks of cement and long poutrelles, of steel rods encased in concrete to make strong support for buildings we would never see. Molded by Romans long dead to what their minds would create in future's time by mixing crushed rock, lime, and water into stately domes, arches, and pillars that still dictate how we think of beauty. In the heavy slush of concrete, we sometimes would spit to see our saliva flow into swirls of hardening gray stone. Just as ancient Roman architects put chalk on soil of unbuilt villas, and wondered if those lines would ever find existence in the soft countryside of black and yellow sunflowers, where rich Romans would enjoy cozy tiled floor heating, hot and cold running water, and wine carried over roads later used by French schoolchildren, carrying their books near the caves of Chauvet, where art predates history and existed in brains thought primal, soaring on walls converted to moving tableaus of lions, rhinos, horses, all flowing into the pubic triangle that still pulses with now. Sensual, powerful, hairy vortex of vaulting potential, not realized until the artist dips a finger into the moist center of self and creates the vital magic of mind, not thought, emerging into life with fat and charcoal, ochre and spit. The Ward. This poem is my experience in l'Hôpital de Caen. The Ward. One by one, the orange tips of cigarettes began to disappear, and the ward began to move, softly and inexorably toward the boy. Monsieur Girard was carried, with difficulty and perhaps even great risk, to a bed vacated for him next to the boy. The same two porters removed me from my traction apparatus and carried me to an empty chair at the foot of his bed. The entire ward, 18 men in various contortions, surrounded the blind, softly crying young man and began to touch him, tentatively, gently, wherever we could. Feet, hands, legs, arms, shoulders, delicately massaging the torn face through the body. No words were spoken, but we each, through our hands, tried to talk to the pain, that it was not alone, that we understood, that we felt it. Each hand spoke from its own experience, some firm and steady, some fluctuating between compassion and resolve, some light and afraid. La Roche Tremblante. It's an extraordinary experience in witnessing magic, that of a trembling rock. La Roche Tremblante. To the southeast of Toulouse, there is a country of boulders, huge outcroppings taking the shapes of one's imagination, from earth-thrusting breast to Napoleon's famous hat, all breaking between tall oaks and mottled slivers of sunlight. Within this strange land there is a little-known trembling boulder, attended by an old wretch, waiting for the wandering traveler, a wooden lever in her hand, with a small basket dangling from it, for tips garnered when she makes the 50,000-ton egg move. Ludicrous! But she does, slowly rocking on tiny feet, her dentures grinding in a reptile smile that rattles into gasps as mouths open to the impossible, the unexpected wonder that something ancient and small can move a mountain of stone and step away, leaving a lone lever to pivot up and down under the trembling mass, its basket begging for silver to rain. Rat Man. Paris generously offers the world a full range of human experience in its light and dark alleys of possibility. Rat Man. My wife and I were walking toward the Café de la Paix in the Place de l'Opéra when a clochard approached reeking of alcohol, garlic, cheese, dogs, and urine. He moved to match our avoidance, leaving no space to escape confrontation. When his army coat erupted forth with an enormous black rat and vomiting sounds to accompany my wife's screams and my curses. We faced off, him holding the rat while I made fists that were ridiculed in the cafe's explosions of laughter, c'est faux, emanating from its patrons, while the entertainer danced around our ignorance with his rubber rat held high over his mocking face. We then passed a delightful night sharing dark joy in the primal poses of sudden outrage or honor reduced to shame in the cold eyes of collective jest. Land. This poem is about history's long memory. Land. In 1997, I reconnected with an old friend in the town of Bonnac, perched in the Pyrenees. Small stone houses of moss and ivy, overgrown with familial history, green bastions against change. As we walked, I noticed one empty lot, with angry nettles speaking of abandonment, malaise, even hardened rejection. I asked my friend about this lot, and he stopped gazing to tell of a house inhabited by a man offering World War II Jews escape from France by secret routes over the sky's mountains to connect with the Spanish underground, paid for in advance, but collected in full with bullets fired for jewelry into unheard cries above and the innocent town below, which found the mass grave and killed the killer, then raised his house so no one, no human being, will set foot on this shamed earth as long as the earth has memory. Lascaux Cave. In 1958, Mom took Kirby and me to see the 20,000-year-old cave wall art at Lascaux Cave in southwest France, closed to the public in 1963. This extraordinary experience inspired many images, this one on the timelessness of art and, regrettably, violence, the beauty and the beast. Lascaux Cave. The crazed horses and their howling riders are one reddened moment of invasion, the timeless surge of energy into torpor, awakened by the thunder of hoofs, the needs of hidden self caught in a presence so outrageous, so unimagined, that juices come alive, emanating from caves where animal fat and ochre rise on artists' fingers to portray the same events, the now invading sleep, shattering dreams with violence and lust, carrying its madness into the safe sanctity of tribal warmth, tearing it to pieces that must be rejoined but cannot, because the cave wall of the mind will always stay awake to pictures created in the broad daylight of mayhem. So the moment rides down those slopes of unleashed passion toward the queen illusion, standing resolute against attack, her hands uplifted to stop the unstoppable, locked in her role as protector against these heaving chests of change, soaring and flying exertion over her descending form into the cave's abyss and the painted horses of not now.